Oh, what's up, tax savers? Welcome back to Taxes Made Simple. I wanted to let you guys know that in today's video, we're gonna do a little bit something different. I'm gonna take you guys to lunch with me. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna go out to lunch with one of my business clients, one of my friends, and I wanna be able to show you guys how I'm able to write off a business meal lunch. And taxpayer, I wanna be able to explain it to you so you know exactly how you can take a business meal write-off legitimately. I have a lot of taxpayers who are afraid to take the business meal deduction, and I have taxpayers who end up getting audited down the road who didn't take the business meal deduction the right way. I personally think that we can debunk both of these two situations if we know how to properly take the business meal deduction. So if you follow with me to lunch, we're gonna eat some good food. We're here in Orange County, California today in the city of Costa Mesa, and we're gonna meet up with my buddy Charlie Chang, a YouTuber in the financial space who has grown his YouTube to over 600,000 subscribers. We're gonna eat, talk business, and I'm gonna tell you guys something about this. I'm gonna make sure that I document this the right way so you can document your meals the right way without fear of the IRS. Let's dive in. Now, before I leave to head to this meal, I wanna let you guys know a little bit something about documentation when it comes to meal deduction. When you're taking a meal deduction and you're considering the IRS's position of you taking a meal deduction, if you're ever audited, the IRS would want to know a little bit more about why you took that meal deduction. So what I've done is I've already messaged the business client, my friend Charlie Chang, exactly what we're gonna be discussing today in a text message. In addition to doing that, and I just took it a step further, I set up a reservation on a mobile app called OpenTable. And what it allowed me to do is it allowed me to choose what type of meal occasion I'm choosing. I can set the meal for anniversary, for date, or I can set it for business meal. And that's exactly what I did. So on the application, I have a reservation over at a restaurant called Havana that you guys are gonna get to see here in a moment. And then I also took the time to make sure that I told Charlie exactly what we will be discussing today, which is talking about setting up a new corporation for this new program that he dropped on personal branding. If you guys are someone who thinks that personal branding is important, then you might want to check out the course, but we're gonna go talk about that over lunch today and whether or not it makes sense for him to set up a new corporation. So let's go. I do my own stuff, Jackie Chan with. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever had Cuban food, but if you're looking for a great Cuban food spot, you're gonna love this spot. It's called Havana. Havana na na na. And order the empanadas.
Okay. Let me put the empanadas in for you, and then I'll give you a few minutes to look over drinks or any other appetizers.
Okay, cool. Big empanada guy. We are at Havana, full of life here. As you can see, this is a restaurant that has a lot of culture. If you look around, you'll notice that there's like lights draping, old school type of lights. You can feel the Latin vibe with the music that's playing. And the food that they serve is like homey food, native to their culture. So I love this place. It's normally open late too. They serve really good rum. What you get?
I got a steak. It's called the El Churrasco. $38. I only got this because he's paying for it.
That's right. One of the biggest tips that I can give you is that when you're going out for meals, you have to make sure that you're paying for everyone that's having a business meal with you. That's probably the biggest mistake that business owners make. They want to pay for themselves or split the bill. It doesn't work when you're a business owner. You need to make sure that you're paying for the person that you're wishing to do business with. And you need to make sure that you're eating the plantain. Let's get these plantains. That's good.
What if there's like a $2,000 meal? One person has to pay for everything? Yeah. Is that like a rule?
If you're only paying for yourself, then it's not technically a business meal, is it?
I mean, we're talking about business though.
Yeah, but the business has to absorb the expense in order for you to expense it. So if the business is only absorbing your personal meal, then technically you can go out to eat and only pay for yourself every time you go out to eat, and the IRS would have a hard time justifying why you get to spend meals out every single day and only cover yourself.
So
what if some of those meals aren't business related, right?
That's why it's important to have the receipt.
That's why it's important to have the receipt, because the receipt lets you know how many transactions were happening on that meal. But more importantly, on the back of the receipt, you need to document who you ate with anytime you have a transaction over $75. So it's one of those golden rules that the IRS created. Expenses over $75, you have to keep the receipt. If it's a meal expense, you have to write on the back of the receipt who you were with and what was discussed. All right, guys, most important thing about taking a meal deduction. There's 5 important rules to taking a meal deduction. Number 1, the location. The location is written here for us, but it's also written here. We're eating at Havana at the lab. The IRS ever wants to know where I ate at, they're first gonna look at the location. The second thing that they're gonna look at, number 2, is the money spent. This typically is shown what you spend your money on most receipts. You'll be able to see the items, but that is going to be the second thing that they're going to look at. So we went through number 1, we went through number 2. Number 2 is the amount that I spent and what I spent my money on. Number 3 is the time. What time was I eating? The date and the time should always be on every single receipt. Number 4, who did I eat with? Charlie Chang. And number 5, what was discussed? We discussed entity creation for a new business venture. Cool. I have the 5 points covered. I have where I ate at. I have how much I spent and what I spent my money on. I have the time in which I ate. Number 4, I have who I ate with. And number 5, I have what was discussed, which are the 5 key points to taking any business meal deduction. Now, what we're gonna do right after this meal is we're gonna recap exactly what needs to happen so that you never fall out of compliance, even though you've documented everything correctly. I'm opening up QuickBooks app right now so I can take a screenshot of this receipt. You might be asking, Karlton, why are you taking a photo of your receipt? Aren't you supposed to keep a copy of your receipt? I am keeping a copy of my receipt. I'm choosing to keep a digital copy of my receipt. In the event something happens, God forbid, a hurricane, a blizzard, all my tax documents could be swooped up. And I never want to get into a position, taxpayer, I never want you to get into a position where your documents aren't saved in the cloud. We are living in 2022 now, which makes it's important to make sure that you're documenting your expenses in the cloud, that it's on a server. QuickBooks is a great place for you to go ahead and take a copy of your receipts, log all your transactions, and make sure that you don't have to keep the physical copy with you. Wow, simple. And just like that, I secured the meal deduction. Let's go recap. I am stuffed. That was a great meal. If you guys ever come down to Orange County, Havana is the location for some amazing Cuban food. You guys saw, we documented a lot of things today, but I want to recap for you so you know exactly what to make sure that you need to do to get this meal deduction. First things first, make sure that you're setting up the scene. Before we even left, I made sure that I had a text message with Charlie documenting exactly why we're even coming out to eat today. The most important thing is that we were actually taking a business meal. You can't just show up someplace and decide to write something off. The second thing that I did is I made sure that I paid for the business meal. It was my intention to have the business meeting, so I made sure I covered the bill and that I documented that correctly. If you're going out to eat with somebody, choosing to pay for yourself won't count as a business meal deduction. The third thing that we did is we made sure that on the back of the receipt that we wrote down who we ate with, what was discussed when we learned those 5 important key factors to keeping a business receipt. And most importantly, that you guys saw, a little trick that you can implement is taking pictures of your receipts instead of always having the physical copy. That's correct. There's no IRS rule that says that you can't have a digital copy of your receipt as opposed to a physical copy of your receipt. Now, if you're looking to become savvier as a taxpayer, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, I'll see you on the next video. Over and out.
Hello, sir.
Hey man, listen, all of them horses that you have need to take their way back to the stable because this street belongs to me and my pony. All right? It's Porsches in the back. All right? You've heard the song.